After 6 p.m. and it's December 20th. This is a meeting of the Wolfeboro Budget Committee, and tonight we're going to be finishing up some agency requests, a few revisits, and then we're going to do all the general government budgets, and then finance and IT. Mr. Town Manager, do you have anything for us before we start?
You see a bunch of papers which were handed out to you this evening. Just to summarize what those are. One of them is the overtime year-to-date as requested last evening. One of them is a pamphlet with a document provided from the chamber outlining their balance sheet. You will also see a document with 3 or 4 pages in it, outlines the health insurance decrease compared to the budget, and then a reorganization as discussed regarding water and sewer, which shows a net decrease of $15,000 based on doing away with that middle management position as we discussed. And the backup to that is in the stapled pages showing where those wages would be distributed going forward. That's what I have for you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, if you can just give me a reminder at the end here, we'll make those adjustments at the end of the meeting if we can.
Yeah, so we will, we have the water and sewers revisit anyways, so at that point, if that's where you want to address it, it's your
Okay, yeah, thank
discretion.
you. If we can just do the Pledge of Allegiance real quick. Steve, if you can take care of that part.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And the first agency we're going to take care of is CASA. Hi.
Hi, good evening. I'm Francie Mitchell. I'm back again from CASA.
I appreciate that.
And I think you got a letter from Tara Bergeron answering the questions, except one that, and I think she answered them all. And the one that I see that wasn't answered was that you asked me about how many families in Wolfeboro are receiving help from CASA this year, and for the fiscal, compared to last year. And for the fiscal year last year, we're about halfway through the fiscal year, 7 families in Wolfeboro were served. This year, halfway through the year, we're serving 10.
I just have one question. I've talked to a few people that are aware of your service, and you guys do a good job, but the concern I have is, say I was getting a divorce. Can you understand what I'm saying? I'm getting divorced.
Yes,
And I have a couple of children, and my wife and I can't agree on who should have custody of those children. Do you people come in and handle that case?
No, we only do abuse and neglect cases.
Okay.
And I understand the confusion because there are guardian ad litems that do that work. CASA trains guardian ad litems, which I am, just for abuse and neglect cases only. So we work with DCYF and the court system with children who are neglected or abused.
Okay, good. I was confused. I thought maybe you guys did divorce cases also and things like that.
I have never.
Do you know your agency, do they do any of those at all?
I have never, no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for CASA?
Yeah, I do,
Okay.
John. So, in Tara Bergeron's email, she indicates that Conway no longer donates any, or they don't allocate any taxpayer money to CASA. And I was wondering if you could speak to that as to why.
Oh boy. I just have what she has here. Let's see.
It's not a big deal. If you're not familiar with it, then we can move on.
It's my understanding, this is, I'm a CASA, I do court work, I work with families, I work with children, and I have agreed to fill in for Tara since I live here, and she does not.
Okay.
It's my understanding, and I will double check this for you and make sure we get back to you. It's my understanding that Conway has been requested to give funds, and they have not at this point, but that we're expecting them. And I will double check that with Tara tomorrow. I'm so sorry.
I believe she also indicates in this email that they're actually trying to put a petition warrant article together up in Conway
Yes,
to raise that $2,000
yes.
for CASA, and we'll see what happens in March. Something else that's in this email, I believe she said CASA had to refuse servicing a family from Wolfeboro because they have nobody present, and it costs $2,000 to recruit, train, and support one CASA volunteer advocate for 1 year. So we are asking the town of Wolfeboro to support one additional advocate from your town. Children who have an advocate in their corner during uncertain times like these are less likely to move around multiple times, and since the CASA volunteer meets with the child monthly, are more likely to grow and thrive in a safe and permanent environment. You mentioned 7 cases last fiscal year, and 10 this year. John,
10 so far this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, John, I think that's enough justification to increase this allocation to $2,000.
Yeah, I agree. I was just concerned that CASA was working as representing a family in a divorce. I don't think that the town should be involved in family civil matters. That's just my own opinion, but I agree with you.
I'll make that a motion.
Yeah, I'll second it. Any further discussion? The motion is to increase the CASA budget for 2023 to $2,000. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for coming in and answering our questions.
Thank you so much.
Have a Merry Christmas.
You too.
Thank you.
Do you want me to get back to you about the Conway? No,
Nope.
you're all set?
All set. Jim, who'd you like to go with next?
So it's my understanding that last night you agreed that the Brewster building was all set, correct? So we're good there. One of the items that's not here, and I know they're prepared to be here and speak on it, is the library
Okay,
regarding their back follow-up. So could we start with the library?
certainly.
So Joyce and Cindy are here. We met with them today, reviewed their budgets, and I believe they have some information for you based on the follow-up items that you have. Joyce, Cindy?
Sure. Good evening. So when we were last here, the 2 areas of concern for you were in the 300 series, line 380, outside services, consulting services. The trustees and the staff met again, and the trustees asked me to repeat that that increase in the amount is for consulting services that would be related to the transition to a new library director. They have just begun their search for a new director and don't really know how long that might take, so they're aware that there are going to be outside services that they'll need during that process.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Any questions on outside services?
Yeah, I had, on line 320, the legal's jumping up a lot. And I had a little asterisk next to that. Could you tell us one more time? Never mind, I think I recall the reason. We're good. We're
Okay.
good. Thanks.
Very good.
Any other questions? Thank you for coming in, ladies, appreciate it.
Okay,
We
I've
have another
got, that
thing?
was one.
One more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Building.
Okay, and then there was another issue with the line item in the 400 series for 435 building maintenance. And the trustees took a hard look at that, and they are prepared to offer to reduce the line item for grounds maintenance, let's see. Okay, from $4,000 down to $100. And the reason for that is that the $4,000 represented what would have been a contract with an outside service to do maintenance on a perennial bed and gardens that weren't built. We didn't do phase one of the project. So I think I told you the last time we were here, we're planning to go out and rebid the whole project next year, so that $4,000 doesn't have a home right now. So we'd like to keep $100 in, just we have some outside planters just to be able to do a little work with them, so,
Okay, see, what line was that, 435?
yes.
It's a ground maintenance item of $4,000, correct?
Right,
And we're gonna reduce that to 100?
yes.
Okay, thanks.
So do you want to subtract the 4,000 from the Board of Selectmen approved 21,291?
3,900 decrease. They want to leave 100 there.
Okay, so what's it, do you have a new total?
It goes from 21,291 to 17,391, a decrease of $3,900.
If you could pass on thanks to the trustees for that, appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. And also, there was some question on the miscellaneous repairs and cleaning, what that increase might represent. And I apologize, I didn't come with more detail, but some of the items that would be addressed were, we do have some cracks in the walls. I'm sure it's nothing significant, but it's things that are going to need some patching and some painting. And we had some shelves that were taken from the walls that have left big holes, and that's going to have to be fixed. And then we have some painting that needs to be done in several areas of the building, basically touch-up painting, especially in the bathrooms. We've had a little bit of a problem with some of the locks in the building, and the locksmith said it wasn't uncommon and that we should maybe expect to do a little more repair. So we have some money in there for door lock repairs. We do want to have the carpets cleaned, and we do have some furniture, upholstered furniture that should be cleaned as well. We have one window in the kitchen that needs either repair or adjustment. We can't open it in the summertime because it continually goes off the tracks. And it would also cover repairs that aren't covered by the maintenance contracts that we have now.
How about washing the outside of the building?
Yeah, that's
That's built
yeah.
into it too, though.
Yes.
Would you be doing that more than once a year? I mean, I would see that twice a year you should have the windows on the outside of the building. Well, maybe the outside of the building every few years, but the windows once or twice a year at least.
I think we put in for
We've put
one
in for-
annual cleaning.
For one annual window washing, and then also this year cleaning the exterior of the building.
Okay, you got plenty of funding there to do that, right? Whatever you need,
I believe so.
okay. Anything else? Ladies, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Have a Merry Christmas. and
Same
Happy
to
New Year.
you.
To you.
Thank you. Okay, if I can get a motion to reduce line 435 of the library budget to $17,390.
I'll make that motion.
In a second? Okay. Any further discussion?
What was the number again, 17,391?
17,000, the new number will be 17,390. That'll be the new number.
Why the dollar difference?
No, it should be
Casey?
391.
I said 391,
Should be
right?
391.
Okay, I need a motion to,
I'll
I'm
amend my
about
mo-
ready to just throw
I'll
the
amend my
dollar into
motion.
myself. Okay, the new motion is to
Just asking
17,000.
the question.
Thank you, Brian. Boy, a brutal crowd tonight. Okay, now the motion's been amended to, Tom amended his motion to $17,391. Any further discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, as we discussed, if we could table Parks and Recreation,
Yeah.
that would be greatly appreciated. Steve Randall is here to discuss solid waste, and highway and streets. I believe under solid waste, you had some questions regarding consulting expenses, and I believe Steve will be able to answer those questions for you. Hopefully satisfactory.
Hi, Steve, thanks for coming in.
Evening. It's additional monitoring. They've added more wells or more frequent wells, monitoring at Wickers and the brush dump to go along with the additional ones we normally do.
How long do you have to monitor the ones at Wickers?
They're bumping them up to every year,
Really?
my understanding, yes.
Is there, how many years do you have to do that for, do you know?
I don't know.
Don't know? Okay, any other questions for the director here?
No.
We also have one item under highway and streets. And I believe that was questions about radio maintenance line. And I believe he's got a answer from our provider on that for you.
So over the last few years, we've added many new radios. They are suggesting that we tune them all alike much more often. They've never been tuned as a group. So we have a hard time reaching the whole North Wakefield side and that area. So they recommend that we, besides buying new ones to replace the broken ones, to tune and program more often than we are now.
I'm sorry, I missed every word you said. You were talking to the,
Sorry. So we are gonna tune, we have to replace some, but then we've been replacing them over the years, so we now need to have them tuned together.
okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
question, Steve?
Yep.
Is that gonna be an annual thing?
There's-
Does it look like?
Yes, it looks like it's gonna be an annual thing.
Okay, thank you.
I would imagine the way that those things get bumped around in those trucks, they probably
Yeah,
need
right.
fairly regular tuning.
I didn't know whether it was like, okay, new radios, tune them in, and then we're good to go, but, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the director?
Thank you.
Steve, you guys did a great job. Steve, great job on the plowing this last
Thank you.
time.
It was a good storm.
And they didn't break a lot of equipment.
Really?
A lot, I said a lot. Don't.
I'll have to say it was an expensive storm though, if I can chip in.
She's not wrong. Have a good evening. I'm out of here.
Thank you. Happy New Year and all that stuff.
You too.
Thank you.
I believe the next item you have is economic development. I'm not sure if there's anybody here from the chamber to speak to that. However, I've provided you the balance sheet, which they provided us. I do believe there's some illness running around in the chamber.
Their request is, what, $6,000? Is it $6,000 or you can just,
$6,000 that we do annually for the community calendar,
right,
and it's a printed copy, you can pick them up down, and down now at the office, they redo them every so many weeks, to update all the events in town.
okay, does anyone have any questions?
Yes, John.
Yes, sir.
The sheet that they provided us is incomplete. It has assets, it has liabilities, it has one line of expenses, just all expenses. There's no indication or listing of any revenues anywhere. So, the chamber is it's a 501c6, and it's an organization. 501c6 are organizations for the betterment of their membership of their own members. And like charitable organizations, business associations, will need to make everything public, including a tax exempt determination letter, tax forms, 990 IRS application, and supporting documents, which we requested in what we asked for. Assets, liabilities, expenses, and revenue, which all of the agencies provide for us. So, once again, we wait to the last day. Last year, we got their tax returns. This year, we get an incomplete form. So, I would still like to see them. We have a final budget review. I would like to see.
I can make the request.
Thank you. Is that okay, John?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
If I could ask,
Thank you.
So,
Selectman Murray,
Yeah.
are you the representative to the board, for the
I'm
board?
the alternate to the chamber, yes.
Could you share Bob's concerns
Yep.
with the chamber so they are made aware of everything?
I will.
Thank you so
I will
much.
call Mary and talk to her and make sure they get all the documents to you and maybe a copy of what they produce. And my understanding, not only is it in hard copy, but online, but I'll have them get all that information.
Great, thank you so much.
I'll give her a call in the morning.
And I also checked today with the Secretary of State, and they are a business in good standing, and their business ID number is 66643. Thank you.
Does someone have a question down here? Did I, no, y'all step off? Okay, any other questions or information we're gonna need from the economic development folks?
yeah, I do have a question,
Yeah.
sorry. This is merely a balance sheet. What we're looking for is a P&L, right?
I can show them the material handed in by other organizations and show
Yeah,
them
we're
what
going
you
to
were
about
looking for.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's what you want, the same kind of,
It might also be helpful from whatever he's reading, right?
yeah.
That they're supposed to give you.
I think I think they know that. I just think they haven't gotten it together. Because they gave us the 990 last year.
That was actually better than what they gave us this year, the
Yeah, so
990.
And you want their 990 too.
Well, I would prefer something that the agencies, like the agencies set up.
Well,
Okay,
then
I will give them, I'll take them an agency.
They're not gonna have a 990 for 2022.
No,
they'll have a
they'll have
990 for 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're not gonna have anything for this, I mean, they would have, they would have a P&L as far as like year-to-date, but that wouldn't be a 990. The 990 would be for last year, 2021.
That's what we got last year.
Which is fine.
One from
Yeah, I'll give them, I'll bring one of the nonprofits material and ask them to.
John, you should email your information to Linda, and then she can just forward that to Mary, and
Check back a year.
I'm not-
I'll do it again if you like.
I know what you want. You want their financials, very simple.
Yeah.
Yes, John?
Okay, what I would like to know is where the revenues are coming from.
The 990 would tell you that.
Well, I don't know what all of these forms are, I'm not a businessman. But I would like to know what and how many revenues, how much the revenues they got from different agencies or different people, or different organizations or businesses. I think it's a simple request.
I'm not, okay.
It looks like they're using QBooks,
I am
QuickBooks, so I mean, they just need to print a different report.
I think very definitely.
So, yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. I think we can get it. I just, they didn't do it. And I'll try to follow up. And I'll tell them and show them, and if they don't put it in, then you guys can decide. But I will make the personal contact. to
Thank
get
you.
the information.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, we're all set on economic development.
Are you looking for January 5th as a comeback or the next meeting?
What do we have?
For them.
Dates coming up?
That would be next Tuesday. That might be a little too soon.
Okay.
27th? I have it on, why is it too soon? They just have to run a report.
Yeah, they've got
on
to.
QuickBooks.
Well, if you can get that done before the 27th, 27th would be great, but we do have a final budget review.
On the 5th.
I'll get it as soon as I can. How about
Okay,
that?
thank you.
Okay, let's move on to
Don't know what.
water fund, water distribution, and water treatment plant.
So Mr. Dempsey is here again this evening. You should have received a 3-page document. The top of it outlines health and dental insurance. The rest of it discusses the reorganization with removing the middle manager and placing a laborer. There's a net decrease of $15,923, and that's backed up on the following pages, outlining that the open position that we're reauthorizing as a laborer will be 33% under water distribution. It will be 33% under water treatment, and it will be 34% under sewer collections. That should explain the reductions. If you want a couple of days to look at it and review, or if you would like to ask questions at this point, Mr. Dempsey, myself, or Casey should be able to answer them for you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Town Manager, Jim, so this is the new engineer position that's gonna work in tandem with you. So when I just wanna make sure that we're not getting two positions, correct? So this is the guy who's gonna be responsible for water treatment, water sewer, water lines, but then also at the same time dovetailing with you on other issues, having regard to engineering. In only these departments or other departments as well?
Other departments as needed. So if you look, this position is broken out 20% under water, 20% under sewer, and the balance of 60 under general fund for the town engineer position.
Okay, I missed that 20%, okay, so.
But we're really focused on that middle manager, which was previously the assistant director position, becoming a laborer now.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
That was the revisit item.
Jim, I got a little problem. Along with what Steve is saying, I'm looking at the percentages and it only comes up to 90%. I'm reading this right.
Percentages of what?
The supervisory salaries, new position, town engineer. 20% for water distribution, I see that. 50% for water treatment, I see that.
Okay.
And I see 20% for,
There are two different prorations going on. The town engineer is one. You'd have to find the town engineer. And the other one is the public works assistant director. And then the third one down below is the water and sewer maintenance position. So.
I'll just assume it's right.
No,
you know, it's just confusing and fine. If that's the distribution, great.
Well, and they're removing the assistant public works director from these budgets. That's that square.
Correct.
And Jim, is this gentleman, are we also looking for someone who will be at least understanding or proficient in grant writing?
So, what position?
For the engineer? I thought we were looking to see if you.
Yeah, but, so the topic of this conversation isn't necessarily the engineer. But yes, that is within the job description and the job posting is grant writing. The focus of this was the removal of the assistant director and reallocating that as a laborer. That was the premise of this whole revisit. So I'm sorry if I've confused you.
Casey, are there any lines we need to adjust by motions?
yeah, all of these. So you could do a motion that would simply say to adjust water and sewer, a decrease of $15,923 according to the handout, and we could use this in the minutes. I think that would simplify things.
Can we put a date on this? There isn't a date. Should we put a date on today?
Hot off the press today.
Yes.
Yes, I would put it.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, what was handed out today.
Okay.
2022.
It's right there.
What this
Well,
is.
the first, shit.
And I'm only referring at this point to the water and sewer reorganization, not the top lines.
Too many flipping quickly.
You're not talking dental insurance or health insurance?
I
Right.
thought we'd wait till we got to general government on that. So the motion is just the bottom half of this front page.
Okay, does everyone feel comfortable if someone does a motion that I'm gonna stay here in a minute to move forward with this, or do you need some more time?
I think if we just say to ourselves that what the motion that she suggested, I'll second it,
Okay.
and assume that it was made by somebody here.
The motion will be
Or
to
I'll make it.
adopt the document provided on 12/20/22 for water and sewer reorganization for a decrease in the budget of $15,923.
Correct.
And who's gonna second that, anybody?
Second.
Okay. You all set, Leanne?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
John,
Yes, sir. Yes, Sean.
I would like to see a wiring diagram of the Director of Public Works.
I sent one of those out to Mr. Dempsey today, we confirmed it. I sent it to the Board of Selectmen this afternoon, I'll send it to you guys tomorrow morning.
Okay, that shows who's where and who's doing what and who's getting what. Okay? So, thank you.
Absolutely. You will get that org chart tomorrow.
Okay, Jim, do you have any other thing with Mr. Dempsey?
Nope, that takes care of that.
Thanks for coming, Rod.
Oh, perfect.
Happy holidays.
Same to you, sir.
Thank you.
Keep the water coming pumping.
Oh, yeah. See you guys.
That's why it's working.
Okay, Jim, where would you like to start, executive?
Yeah, we'll go into general government under executive, which would be page 1.
Question?
Yes, sir.
Are we gonna discuss the overtime now or later?
Later.
Thank you.
Jim, did you have questions? Do we have questions for the water treatment plant?
And the contract, remember there was a question about the contract, whether or not there was any changes in the remaining years of the
Yeah,
contract?
I just haven't got to that yet.
No, that's okay, I
Yeah.
just, it's on here and I didn't know.
You're right, I've got to look at the out years of the contract and what the balance of those.
And then the
Are.
water treatment plant, I don't remember off the top of my head what that was about.
Water treatment plant?
Yeah, I got.
We asked about the contract on the wastewater treatment plant,
Yep.
maybe?
No, that's wastewater treatment plant. There was a question on water treatment, and I just don't wanna, I wanna make sure I reschedule if we need to, that's all. Let me see if I can.
There was a discussion about vehicle maintenance, but I think that got resolved. At 4:30.
Yes, I think I may have brought that one up.
Oh,
And I was
never
happy
mind.
with it.
It's
I was
take-
happy with it.
No, it's not that. It was what we just did, the supervisory salaries. So so just water treatment, wastewater, we have to reschedule. Wastewater treatment plant, the
The
contract.
contract, yeah, and that, I can just provide that as an information item, not a
Right.
problem.
Perfect.
Okay. Let's go on to the 100 series.
General fund.
That was the wastewater treatment plant?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
The
sending
contract.
both of you an email right now.
Okay.
Jim, do part-time support staff, do they get a raise also?
So the Board of Selectmen will be discussing raises on tomorrow evening. I believe that we have programmed wage adjustments for certain part-time people. And why I say certain, if you remember, Parks and Rec had already had to make some adjustments in there as within their operating budget to be able to attract people. So we haven't made any additional increases to the Parks and Rec part-time staff because that was captured in the budget. But a lot of these others, I believe, have been. The other item that I believe would be covered in here as well is we've actually finally, we've been having a terrible time securing recording secretaries, and we actually have somebody now who's going to be recording for multiple boards. So hopefully that will help us out going forward too.
But how does a part-time employee that works part-time, how do they get a raise? Do they automatically get a raise every year, the same as everyone else, or is it?
That's the way it's traditionally
Okay,
programmed in, yeah.
Okay, good.
Well, I guess it would be the regular part-time people get a raise along with everyone else.
Right.
But the seasonal ones do not.
Correct.
Right, okay,
The seasonal ones get it in their budget.
That's correct.
yeah, okay.
Just a question, do you ever have a year where you don't automatically have a raise? Just a question. There's lots of places that don't automatically get a raise, and I'm just wondering if that's.
I've not seen that, Steve.
Okay, didn't think so. Thank you.
Okay, 200 series. $300 series. What's the cable thing? Is that coming up to renegotiate that, or? is
So
that-
we're in process still right now. We have been meeting as a committee, and there's been some back and forth with the provider. And one of the takeaways at this point is the length of the contract. That's what we're trying to iron out right now.
It'd be nice if they could help out the town by maybe give a little bit more of a discount, because I don't know how much we spend on internet through the town itself. You know? Okay, 500 series, 600 series, 800 series.
Question,
Yes, sir.
line 872, Wolfeboro Waters. Up $2,850, 15.3%, maybe somebody can tell me what that's about. I thought you did.
Yes, I can give you some background, and I'll kind of give you the history. Wolfeboro Waters Committee was established by the Board of Selectmen in 2018, when there was a cyanobacteria outbreak in Winter Harbor over the Labor Day weekend, in which New Hampshire DES issued an advisory. There was a small bloom in Winter Harbor in 2019, and this last summer there was a bloom in Jockey Cove and spotting of large amounts of cyanobacteria in Lake Wentworth, but not to the level of advisory. Cyanobacteria has been present in our lakes and other part of our environment since long before a human exists. Many different types of cyanobacteria can potentially release a wide variety of toxins in our water. Wolfeboro Water has 18 volunteers who each summer volunteer to test and gather water samples in Lake Winnipesaukee. The Wentworth Watershed Association tests and gathers water samples for Lake Wentworth, Crescent Lake, Sergeant's Pond, while Russ Pond Association tests and gathers samples for Russ Pond. All of this is at no cost to the taxpayers. It's all volunteer. Some of our water samples are sent to UNH Extension Service, which sends reports of the level of phosphorus and other chemicals in our lake water to the town and to the lake associations. In 2021, Wolfeboro Waters purchased a portable 3-channel PCR thermocycler. Several members of the Wolfeboro Waters Assessment Subcommittee have been trained on the use of the PCR thermocycler by Bigelow Labs in Booth Bay, Maine. Wolfeboro Waters members have collected, processed, and frozen numerous samples over the past 2 years and continue to add to our inventory. So there is a significant repository of samples that can be analyzed to help answer several questions regarding cyanobacteria in our lakes. The increase in the 2023 budget is a request for a summer intern. To enable us to obtain more PCR results faster, from our large and continuing growing inventory of PCR samples and to conduct variant analysis, we are hoping to share a scientific summer intern for 6 weeks with UNH LLMP program in the summer of 2023. Through such collaboration with UNH, we expect to gain more of their expertise in guiding our efforts and interpreting results. Wolfeboro Water Lab is located in the summer on a member's porch and in the winter in a member's house. The lab has no impact on the tax rate. It's a freebie. The water quality of Wolfeboro Lakes is critical to our health and our well-being of our community. It is a major reason why most tourists come to Wolfeboro, is a key driver of our town's economy, and is the largest asset in keeping Wolfeboro's tax rate reasonable. Wolfeboro Waters has 3 subcommittees. Prevention and Mitigation Subcommittee is working on a watershed management plan for Wolfeboro Bay with the Lake Winnipesaukee Association. A 319 grant for with Russ Pond to deal with some of their issues. The Communication Subcommittee, and I've already sent you that newsletter, which had a feature on salt, and the Assessment Committee, which does all the water and testing analysis. In the audience, there are several Wolfeboro Waters members and Warren Muir, who can answer any technical questions if you have any. Wednesday, at the Board of Selectmen's meeting, Wolfeboro Waters will be reporting to the Board of Selectmen on its 2022 activities. If you would like to learn more about Wolfeboro Waters, you can watch the presentation on Community TV Live. If anybody would like to have the 2022 report of the Assessment Committee to the Wolfeboro Waters Committee, I can have one electronically sent to you. Today I received from the Finance Director an update on the expenditures so far for Wolfeboro Waters. Instead of it being $6,473, it's $4,853.80. And so the money, the extra here, is to provide that intern for the committee.
John?
Yes, sir.
Linda?
Yep.
I think some of that information might be on the website also, right? The assessment information, and I believe the committee sends out a newsletter also.
Yes, the communication, I sent you guys the newsletter, there is information on the website, but the Wolfeboro Waters Committee is gonna do a slide presentation to the Board of Selectmen and fill them in on what the committee has been doing. This is one of the key assets, water and water quality for our community.
And I have a question on the milfoil. I see milfoil is down 19%, but I thought I read in the backup paperwork that no plans on chemical treatment this next summer?
Yeah, that's why it's down. 2 years ago, we used a new chemical. It has been very effective.
Oh.
We carried some money this last year in case we had to do another one. We are looking, what we saw this summer, we felt there's no need. We would take it out. It doesn't mean 3 years from now we may need to put it back in, but we're hoping that we can control it by our dash and hand pulling instead of chemicals.
That's good news. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yes. I'm looking at the line for intern, it says $6,000, and you're saying that $2,850 is for the intern fee.
Because we've made adjustments to other areas in the budget. We don't have as much in assessing. We looked at it and we tried to make the budget increase as small as possible and still get the work. And so we evaluated what we had done and what we would need for the next year.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
Yeah, when the lake host monitoring at the various ramps, is that part of this line item?
That's part of Milfoil.
Milfoil.
Yep, they're checking boats going in from Milfoil.
We never have enough volunteers.
Any other questions? would you like to go now, Jim?
Page 10, town manager.
I just got one question. Where's the fee for the New Hampshire Municipal Association? Where can I find that? Do we pay to belong to that?
Good question.
It'd be in the executive budget.
Yeah, that's what I'm going back to that. Yes, it's under executive, 506, line 560, $10,567.
Okay, thank you. Okay, sorry about that. Town Manager, 100 series,
What page?
page
10.
10. $200 series. $300 series. $400. $500. $600. $800. And that's it for town manager. Any questions?
John Burke.
On travel to meetings and also professional development, well underspent from the previous, the 2022 budget.
Yeah, so I can simply say that I would love to go to a conference. Unfortunately, the conferences tend to take place in November on the town managers forum. And as you can well imagine, this year with the town engineer not working for the town, doing the budget process, it just makes it difficult to try and attend those conferences.
So this is going to go to this other person?
No, it just, I wasn't able to attend one. I wasn't able to attend a conference because we were low on staff and I had to do some of that workload.
Okay, thank you. So you fully intend to,
I'd love to go to conferences.
okay, I'll keep my eye on it.
Okay, town clerk?
Page, 14.
Jim, if any of those conferences come up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, would you kind of let us know? I think myself and Mr. Loman would like to.
Particularly in
We'd like to go to
November.
a conference out there.
Especially if they're in January.
I'll keep you guys in mind.
Okay, 100 series, town clerk. On the hourly wages, Jim, is that two full-time people, one full-time person, or?
Yeah, so there's actually 3 full-time people. You have 1 under the supervisory and 2 hourly wages. Over the past year, we've had some issues with staffing. We were understaffed for a while. She just filled the deputy town clerk's position, so that's why you see that number being down a little bit.
Okay, 200 series,
I still have a question on 100, John.
okay.
On the part-time wages, again, well, she's had an odd year with employees and all of that, but the thing is, it always seems to be that we don't use much money in that line, and yet it's pretty large. I'd like to see if we can't have this item revisited.
So the part-time wages?
Yes.
In the detail, it does say supervisors of the checklist, but we definitely can get more clarification for you.
You're talking, which one are you interested in, John, the part-time
Or the hourly.
or the hourly?
I think what?
Are you interested in the part-time wages or the hourly wages?
Whatever.
No.
I'd just like to know
Why they only spent $305?
having such a disparity between actuals and budgeted.
Okay,
And I brought this
Yes.
up some years ago.
I believe he's talking about line 117, John.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's hard to believe that we ran all those, elections and we only spent $305.
Just goddamn 5 years.
And whether something's not posted right.
Yeah.
I put it on the revisit list as requested.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's a 5-year average.
Okay, 200 series. Okay, Jim, elections. Someone who just got reelected, I don't think I have to do it again for 2 years. And I'm wondering if there's any way we can cut that back. I don't think there's gonna be another state primary or a federal election until 2024.
I can ask the town clerk. The other thing that I would ask, based on what Mr. Burt just said, this also identifies a line for supervisors of checklist in this line as well.
Okay.
So I'll ask the town clerk to give us more information on those.
Great, thank you. Any other questions on 300 series? .400 series. That restoration of town records, how many years is she up to, do you know? Any idea? No?
I couldn't tell you, Joe.
Okay. 500 series. 600. Probably the same question on 625 postage.
I can ask her the question.
Because it mentions the state primary and the general election November.
Mr. Chairman, office supplies as well seems to be underspent and asking for the same amount.
Oh, yeah. Oh, did she, it looks like she spent the full amount for 2022?
No, if you go to page 15, at the top.
50. Oh, okay.
Which is that?
Page 15, 620 is similar to 625. There's even a greater disparity in actuals to date as of October. Maybe there's a pickup.
So the 5-year average on that office supply line is $3,700, with the last 2 years being $5,930 and $4,825. So her recent history shows her spending it. I don't see her spending it in '22.
Can you check that on the postage too?
Yep, I put down
Okay, good, thanks.
the 300 account, the 620 account, and the 625 account.
Thank you.
I guess the same question for 740?
Yeah, I was gonna,
Yeah.
What's that question? Because her actuals are 4,000.
It says I will be purchasing 4 for the November presidential election this year.
Okay, got it.
$740.
800 series.
I think when she's looking at purchasing those, she's replacing all the old voting stations that line up, and she's going to those round ones. And we have, this is typical of what happens when you have a handicap, when somebody puts their hand on it and they go down. So she's going to go away from those old aluminum. and
Yeah, no, that, she may need him if she could just take out the 4 for the November presidential election this year. That just,
Is the wording.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all. I'm sure they get beat up pretty good. Okay, any more questions on the town clerk's budget?
Assessing on page 19.
That's one full-time employee?
That's correct.
Okay.
One full-time employee and contracted services.
Okay, 100 series?
Page 19.
200 series? $300 series? Line 384, what is that, Jim? I'll let you pronounce it.
Oh, the cyclical, so they try to go around and do, annual updates, and they try to pick off a quarter of the town every year to go out, visit the property, see if there's any adjustments that need to be made. This isn't, so when they come in and do the full reevaluation, they don't do the cyclical. So,
What is the advantage of using that? What-
I think
what
it's
benefit do you get?
statutory, statutorily, we're required to do it.
Okay, so it doesn't do anything if my house is now assessed for the town by, say, 300,000, and last month I sold it for 600,000, does it get adjusted at all?
I don't believe it does on sales,
Okay.
but what I do believe it does is if they come and visit your home and they see something that was done that was maybe not caught in a permit or the last update,
Like an addition or something like that?
they'll just make those notes and adjustments.
Okay,
So that,
thank you.
they're trying to update that annually. And they try to hit a quarter of the town so that under the perfect world, the 5th year, they would come back and do the complete town, and not have to do a cyclical that year.
Okay.
Right now, I'm hearing from the assessor that there's a strong possibility, that based on sales market, we may have to do, a reevaluation in 2024.
Yeah, we just got that letter today from
Yeah.
them saying that we're very low.
Yeah.
What's that, is that 250, 300,000 to do that?
Last round, it was 200,000.
Does a cyclical collection, does that mitigate that cost at all?
It
So I
does
guess I'd like to know, you say it is an RSA, it is kind of mandated. I'd like to know where it's mandated, and is it mandated?
Okay?
Okay, because if it doesn't benefit us for a full-blown assessment, why bother? I mean, if it does assist in something, or if it's assisting on a cyclical basis, the 25% that are done, is that updated information fed into our computer system, so our
I will have the assessor,
I'd just like to know
write
how
an
it works.
opinion as to why we do
Right,
it.
I'd like to know
Yep.
how it works, thanks.
Okay, 400 series, 500 series, excuse me, 600 series, 800 series, and that's it on assessing. Any questions? Good, let's move on.
Tax collector, page 23.
And the ladies from the tax collector's office are here, if you'd like to throw anything at them since your tax bills are coming due.
Don't, because they've collected a lot of money.
Yes.
Thank you for
And
coming
this
in,
is a
ladies.
case where we don't shoot the messenger.
Thank you.
Why didn't you complain when your taxes went down? Huh?
That's right, that's right.
It went up.
Lynn, you want to give us a little update on how the department's going?
Actually, we've had a pretty good year this year. We were short an employee for about half a year.
but we managed to keep it together and still, bring on some new software for our, taxes that went a lot smoother than we could have imagined that it would have gone, so we've had a pretty good year, all in all.
That's great. Any questions before we start? Okay, let's go. Yeah, go ahead.
I have one comment. As usual, Brenda, I
Mhm.
like to do things without paper, right?
Yes.
That, getting to that tax website, going back and forth, I forget what the name of it is.
Oh, for Avatar?
I
Or-
believe that, yeah,
Yes, the new
tax
one?
billing software.
Mhm.
It's a little bit cumbersome
Okay,
for the user. So you
Okay.
might wanna take a look at it. It's a little cumbersome going back and forth. It
To-
worked, because I understand how things, but for a person who maybe just,
okay,
and I know you really wanna get people to do online stuff,
Mhm.
because A, it's cheaper,
yeah,
because we don't have to mail out tax bills,
yeah,
which is an advantage for the taxpayers, but
mhm.
needs to be a little more user-friendly.
Okay, I can talk to the company about that.
Yeah.
It's not, it's their site where they handle
Yeah, it's
it.
going back and forth between the town and their website, and things get lost in the translation. I had a,
Do you know, on the town website, there is a button
Right.
that says that what takes you right to their site.
right.
Okay,
And it did really work quite well.
okay, we can talk about that. I'd like to know your thoughts on that and where you're seeing the hang-up.
Yeah, I'll do that with you just
Okay.
directly. Sometime I'll just come up and talk to you.
Just to let you know, we've actually had a really good response for people going paperless through their system. We already have like almost 200 people
Yeah.
on their system, and that's what we had before, so,
I just think we need to do a lot more advertising on that
Yes.
online feature for all the bill pay.
Yeah.
Not only the taxes, but the water bill, and it's so easy. It just is. Anyway.
thank you.
Brenda? So I got into the 21st century, and I started paying my bills online, but going paper, I know, yeah, Bob's very excited about that, I can see. But the part I don't know about is going paper. So if you go paperless, you get billed by email? Is that-
Yes.
But can it be sent to another person also? Like, can I have it sent to my wife and myself at the same time?
For if you have it paperless?
Yeah.
No, it just goes to
Goes to one email.
email address, yeah.
Okay.
I pay my, water with a text message.
Yes,
I get a text message on my phone that says, pay, okay, done.
I don't know how to turn this thing on, so
call me,
It's a good
I
way
can do
forward,
it
right?
for you.
You don't wanna do that, because they tend to send you the message at 3 o'clock in the morning.
There's that.
Right, Brenda?
Thank you, John, sorry.
Okay,
Just making
200
sure you're
series.
awake.
Yeah, I just have a comment on the line 140 in the overtime. Just want to pay a compliment to Brenda and her staff on the overtime. They're under budget. One of the few, we'll talk about other overtime, but I think they need to be commended for that, especially if they're short-staffed. So,
Thank you, I will.
job well done.
Thank you. And bringing on new software too, that wasn't really easy, but again, I have good staff.
Good
so
job. If we
thank you.
had a way to reward people for doing a good job, I would say that would be a nice thing to do for you guys. So anyway, so thank
It'd
you.
be nice if I didn't have to send myself a tax bill, that would be great.
Okay, 200 series. $300. $400. Okay, Jim, this is gonna tie into 434 and 550. Why is, in Brenda's budget, are we paying for the handheld meter reading hardware and software for the water department budget?
We're not anymore, right?
Yep, hold on.
Okay,
I thought I took it out this
you
year.
got it out, okay, good.
Oh,
Uh,
it's, yeah,
How about the printing of the water and sewer bills and envelopes, electric bills and envelopes, water and sewer e-bills, electric e-bills. Why wouldn't that go on those particular departments as an expense, rather than in Brenda's department as tax collector?
Okay, can I just back up?
Yeah, it's.
So under office equipment maintenance, we did take out the dollars, we just didn't take out the equipment. We moved the Equinox handheld meter reading to water.
Okay,
To water,
So,
yeah,
so the
it's-
description,
is
we took the
wrong.
money out, but not
Yeah.
the description, so we
Okay.
gotta
Yeah.
get rid of
Fine.
that. And then, a lot of what, Brenda does is handled under the administrative allocation,
Allocation.
and that's why she pays for it. And when we get to it later on tonight, I believe, you'll see that we charge out her, this work.
okay. Cause that's almost, what is it, 12, 17, probably about 20,000, maybe a little more, maybe 23, 24,000.
The revenue comes back in.
Right, right, but it's kind of shows that Brenda's budget is not as accurate because it's not part of her. I just wanna make sure that the people that are gonna, supposed to pay for it are paying for it, that's basically what I'm saying, I guess.
Yeah. Well, she has given them the service, and then we cross-charge the, enterprise funds.
Okay, so to show on the revenue sheet or whatever, or where will it show up?
In the admin allocation,
Okay.
that's where it shows up.
Okay,
Just a comment on line at 550, again to my excitement about getting things electronic. $30,000 is a lot of money for stamps and envelopes and all that stuff, and it can all go away. People understand that they can do it all online. End of story.
But how do we get them to change? That's the.
Drag them kicking and screaming.
Well, what did you say to your computer?
It's not for public consumption.
Has to be
we're getting
shown.
paid. Comes in the revenue.
You're just not gonna get some people to change.
Okay, move on from 500, 600.
I- 600, 625, the postage, I'm gonna go at this one more time. No, I'm curious, do you have a feel for the percentage of people with all the utility bills that you send out?
Okay.
What percentage of them are online and what aren't? Where are we on that? I'm
Okay.
really curious about.
Okay, if you're talking like number of people that are like paperless versus, okay.
Yeah.
So electric bills, we send out about 5,800 a month. We have about 11,000 people who have online accounts.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
So we're in pretty good shape with that. Water, we've only got, let me see, we send out about 2,000 bills for that. We have about 500
Okay, they're
accounts.
online.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but like I said, for
How about the
taxes, we're a
property
little
taxes?
slow, but,
How about the property tax?
yeah, property taxes right now for paperless, we only have about 200. But a lot of people with their, for whatever reason, their taxes, they like that
Okay.
piece of
I'm
paper.
just curious as to what.
But we do try to talk it up, you know, with a lot of people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a bigger bill too, and people have to budget that a much different way.
If you offered them a
Yes.
discount, they might make the change.
Oh, no, thank you.
Then we'd have to
Hey,
increase
just a
somebody's
suggestion.
taxes now.
That's right.
Don't increase these
Oh,
taxes.
get the carrot in front of them.
Him. We'll offer everyone a discount, charge him.
Okay, 700 series, 800 series. And I guess that's it for the town clerk.
I believe we have a
yes.
capital outlay.
On page, 16, under your capital
Oh,
outlay,
excuse me,
you have 40,000 for utility billing software conversion. And I just wanna say this would not be borne on the taxpayers. We are going to allocate it to the water, sewer, and electric users, because the taxpayers paid for the tax bills software.
Yes. And again, our software, we've had for like the past 25 years, I believe. And it's really beginning to show its age. Of course, we've had updates and whatnot over the years, but we think there may be a different program out there that could offer us as much as what we do now without all the expenses. Our annual expense now for just the maintenance of this software is around $45,000 a year. There are other types of software out there that could do that. Same thing, much cheaper rate for us. So we're looking to upgrade the utility software, still offer the same, advantages that we have now with paperless, online options. And we're just looking to upgrade.
Casey, can you just tell me what you just said and explain it to me one more time? Who's gonna pay for this?
The water users, the sewer users, the electric users, because those are the bills that'll be coming out of the software.
Okay, but why is it why is all the taxpayers paying for it if it's a capital? Won't that go in the whole tax rate?
No, it's not going in the tax rate. We're going to allocate it to water, sewer, and electric based on how many bills go out.
So, that's gonna show up as, what, a revenue on the revenue side?
No, it's a capital outlay, but it'll just be under water, under sewer, under electric.
So when you go to do the tax rate, it will not be in the total of the general fund, correct?
That's correct. I do not need to raise the
So
money.
John, in your summary sheet on the front that outlays where this is assigned, 2023 capital outlays, item number 15, it says water fund, electric fund, sewer fund. So it's laid out, just like Barry's boat.
Okay.
Barry's boat isn't gonna hit the general fund, it's gonna hit that electric fund. This is gonna be distributed amongst the water, electric, and sewer. But these ladies have to manage it.
Okay.
And that's the first page of the summaries, right?
Yep, right down toward the bottom of it.
Gotcha, okay, thank you.
Okay, is that it?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Brenda, perhaps you heard Steve's question earlier under assessing about the cyclical assessment that is done by the town. Do you have any insight on the reason behind that or the benefit behind that?
Well, my thought on that is when they do a cyclical, those updated assessments are put in and are included as part of our tax rate.
Mhm.
And I do know it's easier for them, rather than doing 5,000, 6,000 parcels all at once, to do a portion every year. And they also sometimes can pick up things that may have been done that they didn't pick up on before.
So the people that are doing that 25% each year,
Yeah.
they're the same people as do the assessing?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
But they're not necessarily the same people that are doing the
Evaluation.
Reval.
Gotcha, okay,
Right.
okay. So that's two separate entities altogether.
And we did it on a 5-year cycle, 4 years for the cyclical, and on the 5th year, you do the reeval. And so if you're in the first year and they assess your house higher, you get billed on that. And then, so they take all that data and use it when we reevaluate.
Okay.
John?
Yes, sir.
Linda or possibly Brenda, do you know where we are sitting as far as the percentage of what percent of full market value are we sitting with our assessed value? Last fall, I remember at the selectmen's meeting, you said that we were sitting at about 75%. I was wondering if that has changed.
Yeah, I think, and I'm looking at this thing right now, says, the weighted mean ratio is 57.6 and median ratio is 60.4 and the COD is 17.4. And it says the results are part of the ratio used for the appropriation of the state education and county tax is 59.9%. The median ratio, which is used in the case of abatements is 63.9. So we've gone down in terms of
Yeah.
our.
30 or 40%.
And that's why I think without a doubt they will want us to do it next year. And I think it will be all in our best interest too. Maybe not individually or what they have for what taxes, but.
It's
Yes,
not
I
a
think they said
surprise
the
with
median
sale
sale went from
prices.
330 to 422.
Yes, it did say that.
Median
Yeah.
sale went from 330.
That came into us just today.
Today, correct.
Literally today.
Now, how, just, without me running out the clock here, how do the mechanics of this work? How are you notified, or is the assessor in somewhat constant communication with the state on this?
No, he is to provide certain number of sales within the town, and they take those and calculate them out and come up with a percentage. And behind here, I have a whole list of all the sales and which ones they used.
Right.
And so, and this all goes to the state.
Right, okay.
Let me see if it takes me
Thanks.
Okay, anything else for the tax collector? Thank you, ladies, for coming in. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Have a good night.
Thanks, ladies.
Now, where would you like to go?
Page 28, legal expense. So last year we created this new department for legal services, and we didn't budget in all the zoning, planning, code enforcement, negotiations, or bond counsel, but we did book our actuals there. So even though the budget's all in line 320, the actuals we're tracking based on those categories. The only thing I do want to point out is negotiations. It looks like we haven't spent any money, and that's because we've just recently finished and we're getting the bills now for two negotiated contracts.
And will bond council review our bond warrant articles? Will bond council review our, so that also will come out later?
Well, no, they did last year, so they did it like January and February of last year for those warrant articles. They'll do it again in '23, that's why we're
Okay,
asking
that's
for
what I was
modifications.
asking.
Yeah.
But our regular warrant articles, they won't do it until they pass.
I just got a general question here, Jim. State zoning or planning has a legal question. Do they have to go through you to get the approval to?
So, good question. So, they utilize a different counsel. So the planner has a direct line to that counsel for zoning and planning questions. However, if there are other items that the planner needs to speak with the town attorney relative to, or any other department needs to speak to the town attorney with, they go through me to get access to that attorney.
Okay, so this is in addition to any legal lines in any of the budgets?
No, this is all, we put it here, this is all, so everything is running through this with the exception of library.
Okay.
With-
And what about
and
police?
contribution.
Police and conservation, where do they get their money from?
All here. I don't think conservation, they would go through general government.
Okay.
Jim's secretary does keep a spreadsheet based on, I don't know if it's cases or,
Yeah, I can call and ask her, I'll
Yeah.
periodically say, where
Okay.
are we? And that's why I like the fact that they've got it divided out now, because then we have some kind of comparison.
So any like fire department or other stuff would all come out of general government if you had it?
that's
Okay.
correct.
Okay, any other questions on legal expenses?
Page 30 is personnel administration. This is our health, dental, life, unemployment, and workers' compensation. As you recall, we had, it's an overall increase for general fund of 4%. But for the line item of health insurance, we had estimated a 10% increase, and it came in at 6%. For dental, we didn't have an increase last year, so we did not budget an increase, and it came in at 1.6%. If you remember this sheet from earlier tonight, on the top is a motion
that I would like to recommend, decreasing our health insurance and personnel in all these funds by $22,197 and increasing dental by $1,058.
Okay, I have a number of 21,139. That's not correct?
Total decrease.
Total decrease?
Off to the right, 22,197, but that is for general, water, electric, sewer, and pump whaler. And then
Okay.
dental below is an increase of $1,058.
Okay, again, my decrease shows for health insurance, dental insurance, a decrease of 21,139.
Yeah, the numbers off to the side are just breaking it down, but yes, that
Oh,
is
okay.
total decrease, a net decrease.
Oh,
it
okay,
is.
okay, thank you.
See that?
This is the
Please make
same
those
memo.
numbers bolder, the ones over the side.
Sorry.
Make them a little bit bigger. Okay, so we'll need a motion to decrease the document.
Health and dental insurance based on the document handed out at 12/20/22 meeting.
How much?
$21,139.
I'll second that, please.
Okay, so the motion is to decrease health and dental insurance on the document provided on 12/20/22 in the amount of $21,139. I got a first from Tom.
Adjust might be a better term.
Adjust, okay,
Because you're increasing one and decreasing the other.
good point. Okay, I got a first from Tom Bell. How about a second from somebody?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
And just to be clear, those are all different funds, not just the one we're reviewing right here.
Everything,
Right, correct.
okay. Okay, no more discussion. Okay, the motion is to adjust the funding of the dental health insurance provided in the document on 12/20/22 in the amount of $21,139 decrease. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Page 35, miscellaneous executive operating expense.
Okay, any questions on line 850, 800 series? Okay,
Page 37 is property and liability insurance.
it's a pretty healthy increase for the insurance.
Yeah, so the town took advantage of an agreement called a cap agreement, and we signed it, and it's good for 23, 24, 25. I'm looking at page 38 for some details. The board approved this with a 9% cap, and unfortunately, this line item came in at 9%. The other one that we're gonna go over later, came in less than the cap. So, this is an actual charge that we will be paying in 2023. You will also see in the bottom right-hand corner of page 38, how we broke it out between all the funds.
Okay, any questions on insurance? Okay, move on.
Health officer on page 39.
Why should the health officer be entitled to almost a 28% increase in the pay?
Back in 2020, if you look on page 41, the Board of Selectmen made a 3-year agreement to move these positions up to marketable rates. So this is the last increase.
So we have 2 health officers, right?
We have a health officer and a health inspector.
Okay. 200 series. 300, 500, 600, and 800. Any questions on health officer? Okay, let's move on.
Page 42 is debt service, up 32%. I believe up in your summaries is a copy of the bond schedule, if you'd like to refer to that at a later time.
Okay, it is up because of why? Why is it up 32%? In case the folks at home got a question.
Pop Whalen is mostly why.
Okay. So it's due to warrant articles that were approved last year.
That's correct, sorry, I wasn't more clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Which neither the Board of Selectmen or the Budget Committee can adjust. It's a fixed number, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Well, I get, yeah.
Yes.
Technically you could, but the Board of Selectmen would still have to pay for it. And
Wait, it's
Yeah.
whatever we agreed to, so. Okay, where should we go now? Sewer fund?
Page 44 is sewer fund operating transfers.
Okay, any questions on the 900 series?
John, I have a question on this, the debt services, principal long-term. I'm sorry, I missed it.
No problem.
Is this going to include what we're anticipating to have to pay based upon bonded warrant articles?
Only prior bonded warrant
I
articles.
beg your pardon?
Only prior year warrant articles, not this year. We do not budget for anything
Okay,
in the budget that we're contemplating now as a bond.
yes, thank you.
Okay. I think that finishes the general government section.
We did operating transfer, yep. Okay, finance and IT?
So now we go up to the finance, on page 1 of the finance and IT section. I'll introduce you when we do that.
The tab is finance and IT.
Okay, you wanna give us a little introduction here, Casey?
Sure, for the finance, this is primarily myself and two other staff members, the finance director, the HR administrator, and the finance associate. It also includes our audit services. We do charge out a little to water and sewer. What else do we do? We have postage machines that I'm in charge of, or that are charged to my department. And the biggest driver is the audit services.
Okay, thank you. 100 series.
Yeah, tell me what the HR administrator does. Is it more, is her job description more of a deputy finance director as opposed to an HR administrator?
It's probably equal. She's in the room, that's Michelle Chamberlain over there. She works underneath me. We needed a deputy finance director, so that's her. She has goals to train to learn some of the things, so when I do leave that she'd understand them. She does benefits, all HR related issues. She does general ledger, journal entries. She processes gas and diesel. Did I answer your question completely?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, 200 series. $300? Casey, how are we doing on that? A couple of years ago, last year, we did a new phone system. How's that working out?
You authorized a capital outlay this year, and we just got it installed a couple months ago. Right?
Yeah, September
Working okay and
22nd,
everything?
we went live with it.
Oh, good.
But we excluded this building because it was new, and police and fire because they may be changing. So it wasn't all town-wide,
Right.
but every other organization in town.
Oh, that's good news.
And electric, I'm sorry. Thank you.
300 series? 400? 500? 600? 800. You're gonna be okay with the, you, looks like you're a little over on your travel and meetings, you're gonna have enough money there for, with $1,000?
Yes, I believe so. We did maximize it this year, and between Michelle and I going to a lot of conferences and seminars, and plan to do it in the future, but I think it is enough money. Thank you.
Okay.
So the last department on our schedule for tonight is Technology Services on page 5. I'd like to introduce you or reintroduce you to Dave Baker. He is the IT coordinator who works under my direction, and hopefully if you have any technical questions, he can help you out.
And no, I'm not gonna fix your phone.
How long you been with us, Dave?
Well, I've been with the town for close to 5 years, because I started off as the IT guy over at the library.
Okay.
And I transferred over to the town.
About a year and a half?
Yeah, a year and a half or so ago.
Okay, 100 series. $200 series. $300 series.
Question,
Yes, sir.
line 341.
Okay.
Didn't have anything in the budget for that last year, and this year we've got $6,840. Is this the new phone service?
It is the new phone service. What we're trying to identify right now, as I just said, it came in just in September, so we should hopefully see some decreases across the budget in other people's phone lines.
Okay. Actually, this whole block 5 thing is through into line 425, which we haven't got to yet, so I'll wait till we get there.
Okay.
Okay, excuse me. 400 series.
Yes, line 425.
Okay.
Is all of the avatar notations in the backup stuff, is this all new?
No, just the one that Brenda was talking about, Avatar Associates for the tax billing software support. So the $5,700, I believe in the left-hand side, you'll see I wrote the word new.
Yeah. But the other two that are above that, building permit, software support, and prices, that's not new.
That is not new. I don't know how old it's been, but in the 3 years I've been paying attention, it's been here.
Right.
The other thing, just to bring to your attention, you see the Enquesta software and support maintenance, third-party maintenance.
Yeah.
That's the software that Brenda is talking about that we're looking at replacing. We usually look at 10% increases annually on that software, and it's not terribly friendly. So that's why she's looking to transition that software with that capital outlay.
Gotcha. Do we have an idea of what the third-party maintenance is gonna be on the proposed software? Do we have any clue?
I don't think we do, but the one thing that we do know is this software that's being proposed is much more user-friendly. It's my understanding that it's cloud-based versus right now we have to have a specific server in-house that's become problematic for us.
Okay, I guess my question is, when we came up with the number of 40,000 for the new software, did we also come up with a number or do the due diligence to determine what support number was gonna be part of that?
She didn't say what the number would be, but she said it would be significantly less money to maintain a new system. She said they were much cheaper.
So we have not picked a vendor at this point, but if you go back to page 17 under capital outlay, right behind her request, she gave you, Unilink is one of the vendors that I think she's seriously considering, and there's a whole bunch of different costs laid out here. This 40,000 would be to install it, and for the first year, I'm seeing all sorts, a one-time cost of 14,000 billed in 2 equal increments. She is, I think you'd like this page, This does include the tremendous amount of time savings. Our customers tell they have 35% of their time after switching to Muni Link. 7,000 in yearly savings, so I think that she built it off of this for the first year, so it's gonna be way less than the 45,000 we're paying now.
I guess that was my question.
Yes.
The ongoing support is gonna be a whole bunch less than 45 grand.
Right.
And it's much more user-friendly as far as technical support.
Sure.
And reliable, because we find that it's going down a lot right now, and
Yeah.
it's scaring us. Because that's all our billing software, not for taxes anymore, but,
Right.
you know, that runs all our enterprise funds.
We've spent a significant amount of time keeping that system up at this point, so.
Thank you.
Okay, 400, 500. David, how's our system for security? All pretty good? This
Yes,
security?
we have up-to-date firewall systems on there. We keep patching it as soon as a patch comes out for it. So everything is currently patched up to specification.
Okay.
And we also instituted a cybersecurity training program for the town
Yep.
users, where they have take little tests every once, a couple of months, and then they'll sneak in an email every once in a while to see if you'll click on it or not,
Oh, that's
as
good.
as a phishing email. And so that's been very effective, I think, too. We've had some pretty good response to that.
Now, can you, say you're at the town hall, can you do that remote desktop if you need to go to the Parks and Rec, or do you have to drive over there and do all
It
that work?
depends what domain people are on.
Okay.
So, for example, if I have to do something over the fire department, that's a completely different domain, so I have to be on site at the fire department to do that.
Okay,
But if it's within the the main domain of the town, I can remote into anybody's computer and work on it.
okay, thank you. 600 series, 700 series,
Question?
yes, sir.
Line 724, previously in 425 above, a little bit of explanation, but what's that about? Did you pull it out for some reason?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to, everything was going under computer maintenance. I was trying to, if it's software, pull it out down below. So these are software costs, and those up there are a lot of maintenance costs.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on IT?
We do have a capital outlay at the back of your book.
Okay,
Uh-oh.
So it's on page 19. The request is for IT projects in the amount of $60,464, which is a lot, but if you look at the next page, on page 20, you'll see on the bottom right-hand corner the things that we're trying to do. These are recommendations by Block 5. We also meet almost monthly, Dave, myself, Michelle, Amy, and a couple other department heads as an IT working group committee to review these things. We have also asked this year, the town manager requested that Block 5 do a asset management plan for us, so we're beginning to work on that so that we can get a hold of these things and have a plan of when they're gonna need to be updated. Because as you see, some of these are actually expiring in 2023, and so we have to. The first column says what department: fire department, public works, PD. Second, the project that it is. We're only concerned with the bottom handful of them, but you can see that the domain control at PD and fire and police, it's expiring in October 2023. We have the licensing upgrade for VM. We are putting in a 3-year cost. If we put in a 1-year cost, it's almost $7,000, and a 3-year cost is $11,000. So that didn't seem practical to us. But if we wanted, we could move them down to the $693. But that doesn't seem like a good cost. A good measure.
Quick question.
yes, sir.
If I may. So what we're looking at, the 64 is made up of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items on the bottom right. Is that correct?
Yes. all funds, I guess.
All right, that's really what we're dealing with here.
Mhm.
Okay.
But I'm showing you history.
Yeah,
In
no.
21, we did 22,000, 22, we did 29. We also, if we can, we tried to do some of the littler ones. We did all these UPS racks for 429 in 22 because we're able to afford that now. We also, the police department transferred $10,000 to this department to handle the critical switch stack upgrade, because they had an open animal control person most of the year, so they were able to attack that critical need in this current year.
Casey, so this will be, I take it all this stuff here will last at least 5 years? We won't see this amount in the
I'm gonna
next
say I
5
hope
years?
so, but I think I'll better know once we get an asset management report from them. That, you know what I mean, it's gonna hopefully say, this needs to be replaced in 20, 21, 22, 23, whatever the years are.
Do you see this eventually going into everyone's budget? Each little section that's all going is gonna be part of this one big group? This eventually, the 60,000, I guess I'm not in everyone's budget, but this could move into the IT budget as an increase.
Yes, if we would, I hadn't thought about it as your answer, John, but, yes, if they say that we need 50,000 every year to keep us compliant, then yes, it would be
Would
in
have to
the
go in.
budget.
Okay.
But I hadn't thought that far through.
That's kind of why we asked for the asset management plan, because it seemed like every year we were getting hit with critical, high, important, and it's like, when does it stop?
Right.
So, you know, can you please just sit down and try to forecast some of this stuff out so we can strategize it as well going forward? And hopefully we can get that done so we can have a better understanding going forward what some of our big expenses will be.
Okay, thank you.
And I did pose the question, so if we get all this done, we'll be in good shape next year, and they said yes. I'm holding them to that.
Perfect.
So does Block 5 use their own email security suite, or do they?
Well, it's a combination of, you know, the firewall, where things travel through, but our email system is in the cloud. We use Office 365.
Okay.
So a lot of that security is taken care of on the Microsoft end with 32-bit encryption and all that kind of stuff.
Do we have enough protection?
We do. We do. We're in very good shape. Our biggest vulnerability is, like everybody's vulnerability, if somebody gets an email that's a phishing email and they click it, I mean, there's nothing to prevent that. We can screen for phishing emails and keep them from coming in, but they're very, very clever. And, you know.
Well, you can get services that will actually grab those emails and pull them out before they ever get to an end user.
Yes, and we do that. We do that, but they're very sophisticated, and they're just not catching everything. They can't catch everything.
Yeah, my wife works for Proofpoint, if you've ever heard of Proofpoint.
No, haven't heard of it.
And that's what she does, is she's an engineer for email security.
They also have a good program if, you know, to his point, I don't get all that junk coming to me, but I do get some where people are looking, you know, for financial information, because they know that's my job. I look at it, I go, that's not legit, and they have a little box, I just throw it in the phishing box, and it goes to Block 5, and they're gonna deal with it and hopefully put it on the blacklist, I think is what they call it.
Correct.
Versus the white list.
Okay, do we have anything else for you, Casey?
Not this evening, thank you. You are done. I
Okay.
appreciate your time.
Pleasure.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna, I've got some other business I'd like to have everyone take a look at. I wanna go through capital outlay. In particular, I wanna talk about, repairs to boat 1.
What page, John?
It's, page 3 of the capital outlay. And, I just wanna give my input. The fire department, I think the taxpayers have been very generous over the past couple of years. Their salaries are up. They're getting a brand new ladder truck for $1,200,000, Jim? Jim? Oh.
Yeah, but.
$1,600,000.
$1,600,000, okay, and they're getting a new engine next year, new, hopefully, maybe.
Hopefully.
And this particular isn't marked off as urgent, it's marked off as necessary, and I just would really like to try to save the taxpayers some money. It's not an awful lot of money, but it's some money. And I would hope that the fire department would understand, because I think everyone's been very generous at the taxpayers with what they've gotten over the past couple of years. Plus, we're looking at a blank $10-12 million new fire station and police station. So I hope we can go another year to get these don't seem to be major repairs, but cosmetic things to hold the dive tanks, colored lights for underneath the boat, and a few other things. So based on that, I wanted to put a motion is to not approve complete repairs to boat 1, which is an amount of $40,000.
The second one, or I'll make the motion.
I'll make the.
I'll second.
Yeah, okay. Steve second, okay. How about some discussion about this? I'm sure you guys have got some things to say.
To pull this, motions to pull this.
Good.
Well, I also see that the vendor is reluctant to quote firm prices, so that, that 40 could be minus.
And Jim, I want you to, I know you've always been honest with me. We're not jeopardizing anyone's safety by taking this out, are we? It seems to be all cosmetic stuff for now.
I'm probably the last person you wanna ask
Well, I
any
know.
question about boats on.
As your experience as a fire chief.
You know, I think that the premise here has been the boat is halfway through its useful life. The thought is to try and make some repairs to the boat at that midlife point. You know, Guilford just bought a new fire boat, and that was $300,000. We saw what Barry's boat is looking like, $170,000. There are a lot of asks this year in the budget. The chief has marked this as necessary rather than urgent. I think based on the asks coming forward this year, I think this is a good place to push this off for one more year.
Real quick, John.
Thank you for your.
I promise I won't beat on this too hard.
Yeah.
I think we all recall, they came into us for 80,000 initially, all at once. And we asked if they could split it, and they did. They divided it into 2 different categories. I think it's definitely a need, it's not a want. I also think that this goes back to taking care of what we have. And I'll just say that if you don't do it this year, it's probably not gonna go down next year. It's probably gonna go up. And I'll give you a case in point. How many times did we push off the ladder truck? A couple times, pushed it back. How much that probably cost the taxpayers? I'm gonna guess probably $300,000. So, I mean, we can do this, but sometimes it's penny wise, pound foolish.
John,
Yes, John.
I'm not a power boater, I'm a sailor. But this boat does not get that much use. And it's sitting there, there's some deterioration certainly from the sun, but not to the degree that you would have on a boat that's used day after day after day after day.
Now, somebody can help me with this. Last New Year's, there was an incident in the lake.
Please speak up.
Yeah, last January, there was an incident in the lake, and the fire department was out there in rescue mode in the middle of the dark in frigid cold water. What boat were they using? Were they using a safe boat? Were they using a boat that was equipped properly? If they only use it once a year, who needs to be safe? who needs to be rescued?
I'm not saying it shouldn't be done, but it seems to me that it's not only age that affects a boat, but also how much use it gets, and how it's, and that use is, how good the people that are running it.
If they have to try and save a half dozen people a year in either frigid conditions or in the dark or somewhere else, I believe our firefighters deserve a good piece of working equipment.
John?
Yes,
If I
sir.
may, I'm sorry, if I may, it's no different than buying a fire truck.
It kills everybody.
You need it when you need it. My view.
John,
Yes, sir.
if the building gets approved by the warrant article, the cost isn't gonna hit the taxpayers next year in '23, it'll hit in '24. And so by doing half of the 80,000 in '23 and then half an 80 in '24, it kind of spreads it out and makes it lower in '24. That's kind of the way I look at it. If it needs to be done in the next couple of years, it needs to be done. Splitting it in half is kind of an easier way to do it, especially given that that cost is gonna come in '24, the cost for the building.
If you look at the repair order, you show me one thing that's related to the mechanical or safety of the boat, that they want done. All I see here is reflective vinyl fabrication, wax and buff, red and white underwater lights, the GPS map.
GPS maps.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are you could, certainly trim this number back to, at least cover the electronics. And if anything is gonna, become obsolete quickly, it would be the electronics. If anything's gonna help them, be more efficient and get to where they need to go at night, is gonna be the electronics. So I don't know what's on that boat now, but I would hope that they have fairly up-to-date GPS and, whether it be thermal imaging or whatever. I don't care whether it's winter or summertime. But, is that the more critical thing, or is it the bow rail? The cracks in the bow rail. Cosmetics, perhaps they could work on that, themselves, I don't know.
So if I was to withdraw my motion, would you be willing to support a motion for the electronics?
I know that the chief showed us pictures of it, and the fiberglass part, and it's labor stainless steel, weld fabrication, bound rail mounts, is because the design of the boat, and it's a standard design and a lot of people use it, makes it so that the railing takes the brunt of a collision with a dock. And so the railings have broken in and have pulled away from the surface of the boat, which makes the railings not secure. So it's not a cosmetic issue, it's a structural issue for the railings being attached to the boat. I actually asked the chief if they could be re-engineered when they put them together, when they built new ones, and he said that would be too expensive to do the whole thing and re-engineer and rebuild all new stainless steel railings. But it is a structural thing, it's not a cosmetic issue.
To back up what Brian said, when I was fire chief, we did replace the GPS, the mapping system, but that would have been in 2016. I don't know what the life expectancy of that type of equipment is.
I don't think the islands move.
I understand that, but I was also pretty adamant at the time when it got removed, was the thermal imaging camera, because that is what is going to find somebody out there. And the question's always broached, well, why can't you use the handheld thermal imaging camera, well, those won't see through glass. If you look at glass look at a thermal imaging camera and glass, all you're gonna see is your reflection. So I always felt that the thermal imaging camera on that boat was probably, if you're gonna save a life, that's what's gonna save the life. Because you're gonna see the individual in the water.
I guess my question would be, the state of New Hampshire has their safety patrols out of Guilford and so on. What part do they play in any kind of rescue at Lake Winnipesaukee?
Critical, but it's all about timing and location.
They're understaffed
You
severely.
know, where are they located? You know, if they're tied up
And the time of year too.
with an incident someplace, you know, and inevitably, from my limited experience on this lake, they're not out there in ideal conditions. They're out there when the conditions are as bad as they can be. You know, this is a tough one, guys.
I'd support a motion to reduce it to 15,000 and let them choose, you know, what they feel is the more critical things to do this year and then revisit what's left again.
Okay, I withdraw my motion. Who was the second on that?
I was, and I'm not sure I want to withdraw my second.
Well, if you don't have a motion to second, it's kind of a new issue.
Well, then what'd you ask me for?
I'll withdraw my motion, and I'll make a motion to make it $15,000.
Second, John, second.
Thank you.
Reduce it to
Reduce it to
15.
15.
Yes, sir.
From 40 to 15.
Would it make sense to get some cost, to see if that 15,000 would do anything, or what it would do?
Well, he's got it.
You got it here.
Kind of have it broken down.
I just, with good conscience in the whole thing, where it says cosmetics, wax, $634.50, buff, $2,960. I just can't support a wax and buff for, for $3,500 on a boat at this particular time with the economy the way it is. Okay, any further discussion? The motion is to reduce this CAP to $15,000.
Yes, I have.
Go ahead.
Something to say. If we're concerned about, and I hate to use this term, but I'm gonna use it because I generally get myself in trouble when I open my mouth, but we're nickel and diming the fire department. And it really kind of upsets me. If we're so determined that we're gonna save money, then why don't we take all the stuff that is anathema to the rest of the people on this committee, subtract it from the $37,000 and come up with a number, instead of just picking one out of the sky like 15,000. If we're so concerned about gel work and cosmetic stuff, then take it out of the total, subtract it out, and come up with a realistic number. I'm not gonna vote for this $15,000 motion.
So you want
My
to,
thought- yeah, my thoughts are, who's in a better position to decide what's the more critical item? The budget committee or the fire department?
Exactly.
So why would we be concerned about, backing out a particular item from their total? I mean, that's us telling them, well, we don't think that that's important, but I'd rather have them have the funds available to them, or have an X amount of funds and say, look, you decide what's important.
I agree with you.
John?
yes, sir.
I think our best bet is just leave it alone and leave it at the 40. It's based on all the arguments I heard here. It's got to be done, and then 40 might not be enough anyway, according to the description there.
So you've got no issue with wax and buff for $3,500?
No.
Where is that?
It's at the end.
It is at the end.
Page 6.
I would have no problem cutting the buff and wax. We, the fire department
Bottom
can do
of
that
page
themselves.
6, Matt.
So they can clean their own boat, that's fine.
Why is it that whenever we talk about fire safety or police safety or safety, that it becomes such a hot button? Life in and of itself is a risk. And when I look at these capital outlays that total $353,000, yeah, we have to make some tough choices. Is this the right tough choice to make? I don't know. But,
Life is dangerous, but would you put your kid in a car with or without airbags?
I don't wanna hear that question from you. You're here representing this, let us decide, not you.
Okay, so, can I just answer that, Steve? Another thing I would like to say is, town manager and the selectmen did cut a lot of, the capital outlays. They did the same thing last year. I thought they took a very reasonable look at things and, made cuts where they felt they could make cuts and left in what they felt should be done. So, it's a big town, we provide a lot of service, and so we're trying to keep everything working.
I'd like to call a question, John. We have.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Okay, the motion is reduce the capital outlay from the fire department, that's now $40,000 down to $15,000. This will be a roll call vote. Leanne?
Bob Tuffer.
No.
John Burt.
Yes.
Steve Johnson.
Yes.
John McDonald.
Yes.
Tom Bell.
Yes.
Brian Black.
Yes.
Paul Mahon.
No.
Matt Fish.
No.
And Bob Lohman.
No.
Oh my God. Okay, you're gonna have to give me a minute, because I didn't. I was not expecting this.
Getting late.
I know. Kathy, did you do it? Did
No,
you
I'm
take-
sorry, I was doing some math.
All right, hold on. Just give me a moment, please.
I think it's 5-4 in favor, so.
Add to 4 passes,
Okay.
is that what you're saying?
Brian Black, you were yes, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so it is 5-4, so
Okay.
it passes.
Motion passes.
Sorry.
That's okay. We'll do a paper vote next time. Yeah, secret ballots. Okay, that's all I have for tonight. Does anyone else have anything?
I just have one thing. I emailed Christine and Bo, and they have agreed to come back on the 27th of December.
Okay, she's aware of what we need from her and everything?
Yes.
22nd?
It's just
27th.
On her, it's just 2 capital outlay
Yes.
quotes, is that correct?
baseball field improvements
That's
and
correct.
Brewster Beach
Oh, thank you.
septic.
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay, do we have any comment from the public? Ma'am, you all set? Okay. Thank you. I need a motion to adjourn.
I think, you're gonna do overtime?
Oh,
Do what?
You're gonna do your overtime and stuff?
Overtime number?
Oh, okay. Does everyone want to talk about overtime tonight, or you want to do it on another night?
I don't want to talk about it.
No?
Just kidding. Just being for
Another night? Another night.
No, that's fine.
We'll do it on
I mean,
another night.
my gut says I would love to hear the initial blush as to why you guys wanna see this and what you're thinking, but if you wanna wait, that's fine.
Okay,
That way I can prepare department heads if I have to.
yeah. Okay, does anyone have anything else? Okay, well, everyone have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Jim, did you have a question?
He did. He
that?
did say, could you give a more explanation why you're looking at overtime? Or what?
It's good, I'm good. You made a motion, right?
Heads up to the
True.
Oh, I just wanted, I personally want to see how much overtime is going to be back to make sure there's enough funding.
Gotcha.
I thought they made a lot of good choices.
Okay, motion to adjourn, please.
So, that was the,
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
He is.
All right.